In this video, I'll be explaining you how we are going to implement the concept of interacting with your databases using your servlets by taking the help of your Eclipse environment. So in the previous video, I explained how to execute a servlet in Eclipse environment, and this video is a continuation of that video. So first of all, we need to create a servlet. And with the help of that servlet, we are going to interact with your databases using the concept of JDBC and for extracting the data from the database. And we are going to show the data on your web browser. So first of all, we are going to start a servlet. So for starting the servlet, we are going to choose a project from the Eclipse. So in my example, we are going to have a project with a name called SSS. I'll go there, right click there, where I can find an option called new, and from where I'll be choosing your servlet. And we are going to give the name to my servlet in the place given to my class name. So I say the name is Servlet DB, which stands for your database. And just I say next, and then I say finish. Now, when I say finish, the Eclipse environment is going to create a servlet class for us. Now we are going to see what are the things your Eclipse will do for us. So first of all, it imports all the classes which are required to design a servlet. And then secondly, it is going to use an annotation which is used for identifying your servlet on your web browser. So if you have this annotation with you or in your servlet, there is no need of configuring your servlet in your web.xml. Directly your web container can identify your servlet, and then it will execute your servlet on your Tomcat server. Okay, so for that one, we are going to create a class. So as we gave the name as Servlet DB, so the name of my class is Servlet DB. And then we are going to have a variable here. So there is no need of variable of it. And then we are going to have two methods here. One method is doGet method and another method is doPost method. So I will be taking out all the content which is there in your doGet method as well as my doPost method also. Now just observe, I'm going to empty the method. I'm going to take out all the instructions which are there in your doGet method as well as your doPost method, so that I can take out the confusion from you. Now, if you see the structure here, if I call the doGet method, I execute all the statements which are there in my doGet. And if in some cases, we can even call the method called doPost method. And when I call the doPost method, from the doPost method, we are going to call the method called doGet method. And whenever I call my doGet method, we are going to send two arguments here, that request and response, coming from the HTML document into my doPost method. So now what I do is, I will be having the implementation only in my doGet method. Okay, right. So I'll take out these statements also, so that it is going to avoid the confusion in us. Okay. So it is the skeleton of my servlet. Right now we are going to declare some variable, and we are going to have the instructions which can interact with your databases, and I will be showing you how I can extract the data from the databases, and I show on your web browser using your servlet. So for the sake of the time, it means I would like to save some time. So I have done the program. So first of all, whenever I would like to implement the concept of my JDBC, we are going to import a package called as java.sql.star. Okay, so we all know what are the packages we have, what are the classes we have in it, and what are the methods, what are the factory methods I have in this sql.star package. Okay, now the first step we need to do here is whenever you want to interact with your database, okay, now we need to declare some classes which we are going to use them for interacting with your databases. So I'll open the notepad which is available with me. So I'll copy some statements which are essential for us. So yeah, okay, I just copy down them and I keep them here. Right. Now, as we all know the importance of this particular statement. So this statement will establish a stream so that I can interact with your client from the Servlet program in the form of a stream. And still I find there, I am finding an error at this point. It means it is saying that there is no IO stream declared. So what I do, I go to the beginning and I will be importing a package, import java.io.star. So when I import this package, automatically, I don't find any error at this point. And the second statement, if I talk here, so this sentence specifies or defines what sort of information we are going to send from your servlet onto your client. Suppose I want to send my HTML data or my text data, then I'll be giving the argument as text by HTML. So the classes which are required for establishing your database connections are the connection reference variable, the statement, as well as your result set. And whenever I install your driver for the sake of interacting with your database, we all know that we are going to use the method called class.forName, where we are going to specify the name of the driver. That method will throw an exception called class not found exception. And unfortunately, your doGet method or doPost method will not handle that exception. And we need to handle that sort of exceptions explicitly by using your try block and as well as my catch block. So in my program, what I do is I will be writing my try block. I will be writing my try block. And also we are going to write my catch block, where my catch block is going to contain the body because it is similar to a method. And the catch block is going to take an argument which is of exception. And within the body, I write the output statement out.print, and I would like to know some information regarding the exception which has been encountered. So just I say e.getMessage. So it returns a string, and that string says what error has occurred or what sort of error has occurred while installing the driver. Now in the try block, what I do is I just copy that line and I try to explain that line for you. Yeah. So I copy the whole program, the statements which are there in your program. Just, yeah, I'm aligning that one so that we can find the whole thing in one line. Yeah. So we know and we all know the importance of this particular statement, which is going to install the driver. And then after installing the driver, we are going to establish the connection with your database by giving the URL name and by passing the username and as well as your password. And then we are going to have a statement here by which we are going to create an environment where you can execute your query statements on your database engine. And then what I do, I'll execute the query on the statement. And I have a table with a name called login. in the database called as SRU. Now by seeing this statement, now we can understand that I have a database with a name called SRU, and within that SRU we are having a table with a name called login. Now I want to extract the first column of the login table, and I would like to show the data in a sequential manner. So we are going to execute this particular query, and whatever the data which is extracted from the database is stored into this reference variable. And now we are going to iterate that reference variable so that I can extract the data from the database and I can show the data on your web browser. So what I do now, we are going to, because I am not having any physical errors here, I will be saving my program. And after saving my program, now I want to execute my program on my Tomcat web server. So for executing my servlet program, which is having my JDBC instructions within it on my Tomcat server, just what I do is I go to my program, click within the program, or right click there, and then I say run as, and I say run on server. So now I want to execute my servlet on my Tomcat web server. We'll see what my Tomcat web server will say to us. I say next. So your project is configured. So now I can say finish. It means now I'm starting my servlet on my Tomcat web server, and in turn my web server is going to interact with your database, and it extracts the data for you and it shows the data on my web browser. Right now I can see the execution here. Now if I can see there, now I'm having some exception there. And by seeing this output, now what we understand is we are going to have an exception regarding the driver. It means we are unable to install the driver. And if you are unable to install your driver, it means that I cannot interact with your database. So what we need to do is we need to install the driver. So for installing the driver, what we are going to do is we have downloaded the appropriate MySQL driver. So on my computer, it is there on your desktop. So I copy this desktop. Now I'll be showing you where I will be copying that one. So on the desktop, I have this MySQL connector.jar. It is a jar file which is essential for executing my JDBC program. So what I do is I just copy my jar file, and we are going to paste that jar file. I'll go to my C drive. And I go to my program files where I have my Tomcat server, Apache software, Tomcat 9.0. Then I find the folder called as lib folder. I open that folder. I paste that MySQL connector.jar here. Then I close that window. Now I go to my Eclipse. After going to my Eclipse, now what I do is we need to stop the server because we have done some changes to your web server. So whenever you do some changes to your web server, we need to stop that server. So what I do here, I go to the head mark here where I find the stop the server. So we are going to stop that server. Right. So we are going to stop the server to do the changes. So I want to have some impact of the changes which have been done on the Tomcat, right? So your Tomcat has been stopped now. So I take out this window. Now again, I go to my program. Again, I go there and again I right click there and I say run as on the server, and I say next, and I say finish. Now I can see your servlet is now able to interact with your database, and it is going to extract the data from the database, and whatever the content which has been extracted from the database now is being shown on your screen. Okay, so for our confirmation, what I do is I'll go to your MySQL a database. I go to the database called as your SRU, where I find the login, and we are going to see the values in the table. So I go to your MySQL. So I open my MySQL client. Yeah, I have opened that one. I gave the password. Yeah. So I'll be saying use SRU. We know the importance of this command. Now I'll say show tables. I want to know what are the tables which are there in the database. Now I am able to find a table with a name called login. So I say select star from login and I say enter key. Now I can find some elements here, right? So I can find some elements here. Okay, just in my servlet program, what I have done is I'm extracting only the elements from the first column only. Okay, right? I hope you understood how we are going to extract the data from the database into a servlet. I hope you understood, and you are going to do the exercise, or we are going to do some practice how we are going to interact with your database using the servlet. Okay.